Ladies and gentlemen, we'd like to welcome you out to this show tonight.
I apologize in advance if I am out of line here.
I like it.
And you wanna know what? I dig it.
Hold up.
You know you're my favorite white boy, right?
Huh. Huh. Huh.
Let's have a show.
Huh. Huh. Huh.
What is going on? It's your boy Lee, back after a long hiatus. It's been a couple months. Football season's back into the swing of things. It's probably the best time of the year. You got baseball playoffs coming up. College football just started. NFL started. Saturday and Sundays pretty much are gone till about February. So for you guys who have a girlfriend, maybe a wife, fiance, you might as well kiss them goodbye. Because if you're like me, you like college football on Saturdays. Sundays is NFL. Bears go and hibernate during the winter. I'm kind of like hibernating right now during football season. Like, if you had any shot of picking up girls, you might want to do it before football season starts, because I'm staying in Saturday and Sundays watching football all day. And, usually when bears hibernate, they stock up on food. I have literally been starving myself for about 1 to 2 months just so I can eat crap food for the next 4. So, first podcast I'm going to do is a little NCAA football. We're going to start on the college side of things, and we're also going to talk about NFL a little bit later. But let's kick it off right away. The 3 takeaways I've had so far over the first 2 weeks of college football. My first takeaway is nothing's really changed, and I'm looking at programs such as Alabama, LSU, Oregon. They recruit to where they lose star players and they just replace them next year with the same recruits. If you watch Alabama, if you do the eye test on Alabama's defense when they played Michigan, they lost their entire secondary, the draft picks, D-line, linebackers, and they just replaced them, and they're just as good. They look just as dominant. They're almost like a professionally run program to where it's the same thing over and over, year in, year out. You see LSU, they lose, Tyrann Mathieu, they lose these draft picks. Their starting linebackers now suspended, and they play a Washington team that was a sleeper in the Pac-10, or Pac-12, and they just dominate them in every aspect. And that's a team that's a high-powered offense. And if you look at Oregon, there was a lot of questions on the quarterbacks they were bringing in and starting a redshirt freshman. But if you look over the years, it doesn't matter who the quarterback is. They put up numbers. They have that speed with the running backs. They throw the ball more than you think. And that quarterback, it doesn't matter who it is. They just replace them year in and year out. So that was really, you recruit a system and you recruit players. And you see it throughout the country. Virginia Tech's another example in the ACC where they recruit the same guy, and they're always solid on defense. They always have a good running game and a solid offense. My second takeaway was that SEC is still by far the best conference. USC and Oregon obviously are going to be a top 10 power. They're going to challenge there. But if you look at the rest of that conference, Washington, like I said, they got beat up by LSU, and that was a team that should be a lot better. Utah loses to Utah State. I know UCLA has won a few games, but let's be honest, no one really expects that to last the entire season. Arizona State are improved, but if you look at the SEC, it's nowhere close. You got Ohio State and Michigan State. Ohio State's not playing in the postseason. Michigan State does have a good defense, but their quarterback play is questionable at best. We saw that against Boise State. Wisconsin just lost to Oregon State. Yeah, Penn State is down, and Iowa loses to Iowa State, and the rest of those teams in there. It's very iffy. You got Florida in the ACC, you got Florida State and Virginia Tech and Clemson, but top to bottom, Miami's down. I honestly think they have a chance to lose to Bethune-Cookman coming up. Georgia Tech is not what they used to be. They still run that tricky offense, will give people problems, but they're not going to the Orange Bowl like they were, the past 6-7 years. And Maryland, Boston College, they used to be national powers ranked, and they're terrible. And you look at the SEC, look at the SEC East. You got 4 teams ranked in the top 25. You have Georgia, who returns a lot of players on defense, all 4 wide receivers and the quarterback on offense. They have Florida, who's ranked. They did go into Texas A&M and get a win, no matter how much I hate the Gators. You got South Carolina ranked 8th. You got Tennessee ranked. Vandy put up a good fight against South Carolina. And Missouri, they're a good team as well. So top to bottom, that conference is solid, and there's not one easy game. And you look, you have Alabama and LSU, 1-3. Arkansas, if Tyler Wilson doesn't come back, they're gonna drop. Auburn, Texas A&M, and even Mississippi State. Mississippi State looked good against Auburn. So it's really shocking that SEC is by far that much better of a conference. My third takeaway is that your defense is going to win you games. College is all about these tricky, tacky offenses and putting up yards and 600 yards total offense, but in the end, the defense is what's going to win you. I mean, Oklahoma has struggled. They're a high-powered offense, but they struggled early on in the game. I mean, you saw Michigan. They struggled at home with Air Force. I mean, they were losing at one point, and Air Force was driving with the chance to win the game. And that's, they were a preseason top 10 team. They had a lot of buzz going about them, and even they struggled at their home opener with Air Force. You look at Oklahoma State. They scored 84 points against Savannah State, but then they turn around and lose right to Arizona. So I think teams like Alabama, LSU, Michigan State, Florida State, and Georgia with these solid defenses. I know it's still early in the season, but I think overall, that's what's really going to carry it out throughout the entire season. So last year I used to do 5 or 6 games where I tried to pick winners. I think I ended up with a winning record, but at the same time I kind of wanted to narrow it down. You can do parlays, and so I think I'm gonna call this segment the Parleys. I'm gonna give you 3 winners, which I'm pretty confident on each week. The first game I want to take a look at is Cal going to Ohio State. Ohio State is favored by 17 points. You look at this matchup, Ohio State does have, with Braxton Miller, they do have a very prolific offense, high-powered, kind of very, it reminds me, with him at quarterback, it kind of reminds me of something coming out of Oregon. And you look at Cal, they struggled at home and lost to Nevada. And Nevada is a team that just lost at home to USF. And USF is not that good of a football team. I mean, this is going to be their first real test on the road. First real test in general, never mind on the road. They've just played Nevada and Southern Utah. Southern Utah put up 31 against them. So I don't think it's going to end well for California. Ohio State has the 14th rushing offense, and Cal has a 73rd ranked rushing defense. And I think that Ohio State's defense, which is top 10 in the defensive category, will be able to shut down California. So I think this is going to be a 3-touchdown game. I know that's a lot of points to lay down, but I think Ohio State at home will win by more than 17 points. The next game I'm going to take a look at is Florida versus Tennessee. Tennessee's favored by 3 points here. I think that's just the home away factor. Florida did lose their starting linebacker in Jenkins and their defensive end Powell. I think that's a big loss for a Florida defense, which was their strong suit. You knew their offense wasn't going to be that good coming into this year. So I think those are 2 key losses. Tennessee's 9th in passing offense right now. They're putting up almost 350 a game. Like I said, it's early in the season, but that's something where I think Florida may struggle. They shut down the run in the offense of Texas A&M in the second half last week. I think with a passing offense, it's going to show, especially being on the road. They have a lot of players hurt. Their star running back is battling a groin injury. That's not good when that's your running back. They're on the road. They've won 7 straight games against Tennessee. I think at some point that streak will be broken. So I like that to be broken by at least maybe a touchdown. I'm thinking like 24-17 or a 17-10 game here. The last game I am going to give you is BYU, favored by 3.5 at Utah. This is a rivalry game. BYU's top 10 in total defense in the country right now. Utah just lost their starting quarterback, Jordan Wynn. He was their senior leader. A lot of reasons why people were picking Utah in that conference to come out and play in the championship in the Pac-10, Pac-12 championship game. With him, I think shoulder injuries. I think he's just ending his football career. That's a big loss. You're coming off an embarrassing loss to Utah State, in a rivalry game, and you lose your senior quarterback. I think mentally they're not going to be there. And those damn Mormons out there, they're just about 27 years old. They're going to come in ready, and I think they're going to win easily by a touchdown or more over Utah. So going back over this, I like Ohio State minus 17 at home against Cal. I like Tennessee at home minus 3 against Florida, and I like BYU on the road minus 3.5 versus Utah. A lot of favorites. That's one thing with me. I'm kind of hard to pick the underdogs here and get the points, and if there is one bonus I'd like to throw out there, I think USC minus 9 at Stanford. Stanford really struggled with San Jose State. They're really going to be exposed here even at home, I think against a USC team that has something to prove from last year's game. So I think that USC will win that one by 2 touchdowns. Like I said, going with all favorites this week. So we will have to check back in on the results next week when we go over that. So that was my takeaway now with the NCAA football. So we're going to take a little break. We're going to come back and we're going to talk a little NFL.
Since I was 18, apologize if I say anything I don't mean.